Within Southeast Asia, increasing consumer demands for online shopping has been exponential, and we have been witnessing that. We have seen Southeast Asian consumers who are increasingly turning into online shopping due to the convenience, the wider product selection that has been currently prevalent, and the competitive prices that are being offered with like the payment methods. Cash on delivery is still like quite a popular system.
Study done by researchers where they found that 3/4 of the region's MSMEs, which are micro, small and medium businesses and enterprises, have access to more digital payments, while half want to see greater digitization in lending as well. Digital merchants within Philippines, for example, 97% accept digital payments, and you can see how much of a priority digital payments have become in Southeast Asia, and they're going to keep on touching everybody's life.
Hello everyone, welcome back to TF Taps into the Southeast Asian creator economy in collaboration with Budge. This is Shubham Tiwari from Thousand Faces Club. I have with me Divya and Shreya from Budge. A word about Budge, it takes you closer to your financial wellness while you focus on your passion. In today's episode, we are going to discuss D2C commerce trends in Southeast Asian economies, and let's get right into it, ladies. What's the landscape of e-commerce in the Southeast Asia? Let's set the stage.
So, I'll take this question. As I usually do, I feel like I've become responsible for setting the landscape for everything that we speak of. But when it comes to e-commerce, so e-commerce in the market, the e-commerce market is like thrive with like so many like booming like new companies and startups. Like shopping runs the world, online shopping runs the world, but e-commerce is the biggest monster in Southeast Asia. It is the biggest market for e-commerce in the world, Southeast Asia, and it's because of a couple of like reasons. So there's of course like the living standards of the middle class within the countries of Southeast Asia, such as Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia especially, are booming. They're improving. The living standards are improving. Their capability to buy is improving. And therefore, it's becoming like more and more sort of a consumeristic sort of a setting for a lot of companies to then, come in and like make the most of the landscape there. The market volume for e-commerce, the e-commerce market in Southeast Asia is supposed to touch $217 billion by 2025. And the growth rate is projected to be the growth rate within Indonesia by itself is projected to amount to 50% of the growth at large in Southeast Asia. So Indonesia is playing a big role within the growth of e-commerce in Southeast Asia. And the average GDP of all of the 9 countries within Southeast Asia has also accounted for 55.6% of Southeast Asia becoming more consumeristic and becoming a more attractive market for e-commerce. So this is kind of the landscape, and I think Divya can delve into how individuals within the landscape are behaving as a result.
Great. So just as Shreya rightly mentioned, it's a massive growth spurt within Southeast Asia. We need to understand the penetration of the mobile internet market within Southeast Asia, and the increasing consumer demands for online shopping has been exponential, and we have been witnessing that. So when it comes to the landscape of Southeast Asia, we need to look at a couple of key factors. Number one, as Shreya mentioned, was the market size. So I'm not going to delve into the market size, but the players. So the players in Southeast Asia has been beyond Amazon or Shopify. It's local players like Lazada, which is now currently owned by Alibaba. There's Shopee, which is by Sea Limited, and there's also a local brand called Tokopedia, which is owned by the GoTo Group. So, however, there have been like a massive number of small players also, including regional and local e-commerce. We have seen global players a little at bay when it comes to the major competition that's being played. Secondly, we would also look at the current consumer behavior, right? Consumer behavior is always known to be very erratic when it comes to the market diaspora in any business aspect. And since creator economy and D2C are very closely tied together, we have seen Southeast Asian consumers who are increasingly turning into online shopping due to the convenience, right? The wider product selection that has been currently prevalent, and the competitive prices that are being offered within all these three domains. So mobile shopping is particularly quite popular. And with the percentage of consumers accessing e-commerce platforms via their smartphones has again been a massive boom. Logistically speaking, the e-commerce in Southeast Asia has faced significant logistical problems and challenges. It's been a nightmare for a lot of them. For example, Lazada had quite a few issues before Alibaba decided to take over, which is like a giant as of now, due to the regional geographic complexity. And I'm not going to dwell into much into this because it's basically the underdeveloped logistical infrastructure within the community. So there have been a lot of third-party logistical systems that are coming into place to help most D2C companies thrive. And lastly, like the payment methods, cash on delivery is still like quite a popular system within most Southeast Asian countries, and it's very prevalent in South Asia as well. I mean, we've seen COD thriving in India. And that's also due to low credit card penetration, if you look at it, and trust issues with online payment. So, however, digital payment methods are quite widely available and are gaining popularity. They are still at a lower end. But overall, when we speak about the Southeast Asian e-commerce department and how we want to look at this entire ecosystem, it's poised with a continuous growth trajectory. We need to understand in the coming years, there'll be increasing level of competition coming in with smaller players who will be giving major competition to bigger players like Amazon and eBay, which still haven't been able to put a very strong footing within the market.
Right. Tell us a typical consumer's shopping story in Southeast Asia.
It's actually quite interesting when we want to look at this question, right? So anyone can be a pundit on this aspect of how a typical journey is. However, not everyone has the same shopping journey within the e-commerce department. So you need to look at amongst all the themes that have been explored within the collaboration, be it money matters, plaguing creators, financial literacy, amongst creators, tools, monetization, etc. E-commerce is something that touches a single person with the internet's connection life, right? You need to understand that. So you watch one tech review and you find competitive prices of each product on different platforms. So when you want to understand a consumer's shopping story in Southeast Asia, you need to understand that they have usually a six-step process, which can go into any human psyche. You would love to research on the product. And since there are so many reviews prevalent on social media, it's quite easy for people to find the right product. And this could also involve like browsing through e-commerce platform, going through YouTube stories, etc., looking at people's recommendation. The second would come to like proper selection. So once the consumer has predominantly decided what they want to purchase, they will typically browse through different e-commerce platforms to find the perfect pricing or find the perfect pattern in which they can compare prices and see which one gives the best options to them. So it could be like an EMI that they would want to buy the product on. So for example, Dyson has become quite popular as a product in Southeast Asia and South Asia. So since on the higher side of the price point which it is at, so there are different payment methods that give them the flexibility to buy. So flexibility of purchase is something that's very important here. So when consumers have decided on which platform they would want to purchase the product on, they would want to buy and add items to the cart and proceed for checkout, which is like a usual process that they go through. Now, the checkout process also has, again, as I rightly mentioned, on the payment method, the delivery system, which how quickly the product is being delivered. It basically entices the consumer to stay on the landing page as far as possible, right? And then comes to delivery. So delivery is as simple as it can be explained as next day delivery is something that really thrives on. So we are a generation who loves instant gratification. So once, thanks to Amazon Prime and Lazada and Alibaba, who can do next day delivery, things work out perfectly for us. And lastly, we are very considerate about after sales services. So you need to understand the consumers currently in Southeast Asia are can also work upon good after customer service and expect e-commerce platforms to provide the support that is required, whether it be a BPS service, a back-end service, or how are they processing refunds, which basically leads to the consumer to be a loyal customer to the current platform. So that's pretty much how a journey usually could be defined.
Right. Yeah. So speaking of trends in this area, what are the hottest e-commerce trends we are seeing in Southeast Asia?
So when it comes to the hottest trends in e-commerce, it can be sort of like defined by overarchingly like these like six trends that are driving the market and driving the consumers within the market. So of course, like it is the first and the foremost thing is that e-commerce is everywhere. It's on every channel. Like you open your phone and you get mobile ads. You open your laptop and the same ads are somehow like
Yeah.
on a different social media site, but like the same product or like the same like Google search that you may have done at some point. Then like there's also now with like a lot of advertisement happening even when it comes to like podcasts and YouTube videos and things like that. There's like advertisements there. So everywhere you go, there's gonna be something that e-commerce touches, and that is because of the omni-channel like sort of reach that it has achieved. So when it comes to like it has escalated off the charts during the pandemic, e-commerce, and like every sort of leg of it has penetrated into all of our sort of social media engagements. Our technologies have become sort of subject to, you kind of have to figure out which technology am I, okay with like looking at sort of all of these recommendations and notifications on, and which piece of technology I want to keep as like my sort of work or like, sort of serene place where I go to just relax, because sometimes it's, you can't run away from it. So I mean, it is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing for e-commerce players, of course, because they can use all possible touch points when it comes to online shopping to reach their consumers, to their end consumers. So this can include like any websites that they visit, apps that they visit, and social media platforms that they are active on. And when it comes to these channels, it can be customized to provide like a shopping experience between a mobile phone. Like the shopping experience on a mobile phone has to be different, the shopping experience on laptops has to be different, and the shopping experience in a mixed situation when it comes to sometimes like you view a product virtually and then you may want to visit the store. So there are like now like sort of combined almost shopping experiences which are virtual as well as real life. So it has, like I said, it has penetrated every channel that it could possibly have, and that has been good for it. It is a trend and it's going to continue onwards. Then when it comes to another trend, like I mentioned, you buy something online, but you pick it up in the store. So that has become a very common trend because you want to still have like the in-person experience a lot of the times when you're shopping. That was what brings a lot of joy in the first place in people's minds when they're shopping. To be able to, feel and see and look at how they feel in that piece of like clothing if they're buying, or like if how that thing will look in their how a certain like speaker will look in their sort of tech setup in the house, or like desktop, like next to their desktop. So they want to be able to compare these things, and that's what buy online and picking up in store has allowed for people to do. It ensures that the customer gets exactly what they're looking for, and they can plan the visit to the store and make the payment for the product and even avail like returns and exchanges if it doesn't meet their needs, which is the maximum convenience for a consumer that any shopping experience can provide. So that, and then as Divya touched upon, shipping, like expedited shipping, quick sort of deliveries have become the main mode of getting more and more consumers to buy more, because when you do, like when you deliver quickly, then the next purchase also is made generally more quickly.
No,
Yes.
I'm just saying quite interestingly, in fact, Amazon Fashion has done this as of now. So, Amazon Fashion stores in the US allows you to like add stuff to your cart on your mobile phone. And then once you enter the store, they have your purchases already ready for you in a trial room where you go and try those things and see what fits best to your needs. And then you do the exact purchase, right? That's called convenience and ease of use for any consumer at the moment. So we've seen quite the rise in this. We're wondering if any of this is going to stumble upon Southeast Asia as of now.
So, when it comes to mobile phones, what new innovations are being introduced in this region? Please give us some examples as
So there's this one that I would just like to take on. So the generation before millennials can empathize basically with the fact that we are living completely in a new era right now, and everybody has a mobile phone. I mean, without which you feel quite crippled mentally and emotionally. So not only that, the phones are like mini computers that support basically all your productivity throughout the process. So, for example, something that has been taken up in our mind and which we've been witnessing is the reason and the rise of e-commerce because of this. So, for example, when you look at AR, right, augmented realities, which is used on website and mobile applications to provide virtually try-on features, which I just spoke about, to the customers have given an exact idea how a fashion product would actually look on them. So, for example, if you go to the stores of Estee Lauder or MAC or Sephora, now on their website, you can also get a picture of your face and you can try the product that you want to buy and see how that product looks on you, right? And it gives you basically a 3D view on how the makeup would suit you in every primary situation and understanding the details of the product. So certainly the innovations in technology are to stay, and it has basically evolved a lot for the consumer. It is just on the consumer's adaptation capacity. So, for example, this wouldn't work in a tier two sector because the person might find it a little hard to understand the product and how it is looking, or basically the internet connection could not be good, basic problems, right? But for someone who's based out of a Singapore or a Hong Kong and does not, and is a corporate woman who cannot have the time or the leisure to go to the store and pick up her right foundation, which she needs immediately in the next 45 minutes because of instant delivery, she can just take a picture of herself on the app, have the product applied on the picture, and see how that picture turns out to be and how she ends up looking and finding the right match. So that's where things have taken a big turn towards.
Yeah, so I've recently noticed that even like when it comes to modeling the products, like if it is like a piece of clothing or a new line that a fashion house is putting out, they've started using like virtual models, like sort of virtual avatars almost. Like I noticed this recently with a Korean brand that is very popular as a streetwear brand, even in Southeast Asia. And their recent line of clothing was all modeled with like virtual avatars that were put on their Instagram accounts, and people could sort of interact with the avatars and what they were wearing on the site itself, and like sort of get almost like a idea of what maybe the clothing might like look like on a person from all angles, because you could like sort of manipulate the angles and stuff. But it could definitely like alienate some people for sure, like seeing fake person modeling modeling the clothing that they might buy at some point. But it could be a trend. Like, I mean, these things are probably going to become more and more common, and Yeah, the AR as well as like just virtual fashion, even avatars have become really common. So people have been like engaging with that kind of content and that kind of, you know, um, like just that technology has been taking over a lot of things recently.
All right. Let's also talk about the innovations happening in checkout and payments.
So when it comes to like digital payments, I mean, Southeast Asia has been one of the places with the most dynamic growth in the area, and mainly it is with like because of the Asian countries. So that is Asian countries plus Vietnam is contributing to the growth of digital payment systems within Southeast Asia, and it is driven by several factors. So when it comes to these factors, the main factor that has led to this is that the the ideal conditions for digital financial services is flourishing in Southeast Asia as we speak. So this was study done by researchers where they found that 3/4 of the region's MSMEs, which are micro, small and medium businesses and enterprises, have access to more digital payments, while half want to see greater digitization in lending as well. So there is definitely a lot of need and sort of interest in the space, and the MSME growth in the countries is definitely also contributing to the growth of digital payments. So when it comes to MSME growth, 65 million MSMEs already exist when it comes to Indonesia, and most of them are onboarded onto interoperable digital payment systems. So, and they have a QR system of their own, like similar to UPI that exists in India. There is a similar infrastructure in Indonesia, which has made the onboarding of small businesses online onto formal financial services. It has become much more easy for them, and it's a similar story when it comes to Philippines. So, of course, Philippines is a sort of collection of islands, right? So there are rural areas where a lot of the infrastructure for digital payments as well as any kind of digital adoption has not reached. So it's still waiting to waiting to take off. When it comes to digital merchants within Philippines, for example, 97% accept digital payments, and similar with like digital lending facilities, they have onboarded onto the same. So they would not have survived the pandemic if it hadn't been for digital payments. So we need to sort of like every business in the area has definitely seen so much improvement in their businesses due to digital payment systems over the pandemic. Otherwise, they would have gone bust. So it is like it's like a foremost priority for them, and there are multiple ways that we can see that happening. So when it comes to like these digital payment systems, we recently had Singapore's central digital payment system called PayNow and the UPI, India's UPI, have had a collaboration where they want to enable international payments between the Indian diaspora and Singapore back to India, because like international payments are always an issue when it comes to digital payments. Generally, they were always, sent through like bank accounts, and like they were always either in cash or through bank to bank accounts directly. But now through UPI, you can, directly, like just through with the press of a button from Singapore, you can send money back to your family in India, for example. So you can see how much of a priority digital payments have become in Southeast Asia, and they're going to keep on sort of touching everybody's life as the e-commerce market also grows. So these things will grow together.
Can the D2C model survive in Southeast Asia?
the D2C model is here to survive and it's here to grow, and cannot see it going combust anytime soon. You need to understand, as Shreya rightly mentioned about payment checkouts, etc. It has made a convenience for most consumers and sellers to come on the same platform and do their business with ease. So there are some great companies that have emerged in the D2C space right now. You need to look at the past couple of years. It was too early to say anything, but right now it is an important thing to understand that there have been situations that and processes around the ecosystem to make any D2C brand very successful. So when we look at the customer acquisition paradox as of now, which any digital marketing person would know, historically and traditionally, companies would use brick and mortar stores to sell their products, etc. But on the advantages of D2C offered was reducing with fixed costs that were already prevalent and the products that were being sold online directly without any physical showrooms. So you need to understand D2C brands have been spending millions and millions of dollars of customer acquisition, which has become the most equivalent to anyone's rent. Trust me, it's become extremely expensive. Since I used to work for an e-commerce company in the past as well, I know how CAC drives ROI for any direct-to-consumer product, and e-commerce thrives on it. So you spend to earn, right? You spend to earn, and you don't earn to spend. So there's that dilemma that people have. You spend to earn to spend is that basic dilemma, right? So the success to capture any D2C company's success, the business model depends on the relationship with the customer lifetime value that is being provided and the customer acquisition. A simple equation of CLV being greater than CAC is preached by every startup or every company in business model textbooks. So judging by this equation, the D2C model needs to have a very strong retention rate as of now in the macroeconomic side of things to be more viable. And to achieve this, they would have to be spending more on marketing, eventually driving the CAC. So the good thing about D2C brands, upcoming D2C brands, which we can learn in the last decade and has been most of the biggest fundamental changes that we've been seeing in the existing D2C playbook, is the specific shifts that involve in these following principles. So, as Shreya also rightly mentioned, the omni-channel being a necessity initially in her questions, where she said that the D2C brand should explore offline retail as an extra channel to establish the long-term relationship with the customers. Hence, CSC can be more accountable, right? Differentiating through community building, this is the most upcoming thing in D2C brand should explore, which is ways to build a community and have a deeper one-to-one relationship with your consumer. A number one brand that's been doing this very well is Etsy, which also focuses on community building, right? And the increase in margins via vertical integration is also an imperative, is what we have noticed. So utilizing and depending on third-party contractors for supply chain, logistics, and the stating might be sounding very feasible idea right now, but that's how a D2C brand grows, without which it falls apart. So it should explore the possibility of vertical integration of all the three to have their margins on a higher ROI.
Excellent. Divya and Shreya, thank you so much for this insightful session. I mean, there are, many other points that we are yet to touch when it comes to D2C in Southeast Asia, like successful models, 3 pillars, and of course, is Southeast Asia ready for, D2C? So stay tuned, folks. We'll be covering this in the next episode, and hopefully we'll have someone, a creator in the next episode. And we also had a guest appearance just now. Shreya, you can tell us about your cats as well, because they are very eager to talk to us. So
She was playing with her mouse and she wanted it, and I was keeping it away from her. I was hiding it from her because she was making a lot of noise within the episode while the episode was being recorded. So she was very politely waiting for me to give her the mouse back. So I will give her the mouse back now.
No problem at all. She's welcome on TF. Thank you once again,
Have it
and folks,
again.
we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.